And a general reading would be amazing. Okay. I barely started looking into this yet, and I started getting something about like something feeling like fidgety. It's like fidget toys or something like that. I can't quite tell if it's like an anxious energy, because normally that presents for me a little bit differently, but it's something about like being like a little bit fidgety. So maybe it's more like antsy rather than anxious. There's some anticipatory energy, which does make a lot of sense given the collective readings that we talked about today. So I'm wondering if you related more to the second reading than the first reading. So with the anticipation of wanting that rebirth to happen, wanting that next chapter to happen, wanting to pry open the door to go into the next phase, it feels connected to that vibe. Existential seems dramatic, but it's like thinking about everything, thinking about how the arc of life is going, how the pieces are fitting into place or not, and like fresh, like I'm seeing like you have a puzzle and you're trying to put the piece in place and then it doesn't fit, and then you're flipping it around and like really it actually was the right piece the whole time, but like you just had to turn it or it was upside down or something like that. Little like bubbling frustrations with things in that sense, but it's just trying to get the picture to work, trying to get it all to come together. And there's so many pieces of our lives and so many facets of them. So it can feel a little bit overwhelming, but it seems like it's more questioning of that big picture and of the journey. I'm getting nudged here to bring up, I don't know if you follow astrology at all, but Chiron, so it's an asteroid placement in your chart, and it encapsulates wounds that you bring into this life. And when you can tend to them and face them and nurture them, you can achieve a level of mastery where then you can become a teacher in helping to model to others like how to get through whatever that wound is. So it feels like there's a piece in there. I don't know if that's helpful, if some of your question, the underlying trying to get the picture to work, is related to purpose or direction or trying to get through different wounds, but it feels like there's room here of something to tend to within yourself, that when you achieve that level of mastery, it's like the upload, like the up level that we were talking about with reading number 1. It's like it allows you to turn that key to open the door to get to the other side, to move into the next chapter. It's like you have the key. It's just working on the thing either that you know you need to work on, or you're not 100% sure what the wound is, what the sore spot is. Not exactly past life karma, but sometimes it can present that way. Whether you are 100% aware of it or not, it's like tending to that, nurturing that. I can flip over the card now. Ha! This is a great one. I am so curious about your natal chart with this reading, because this is the play card. Play is my pathway to joy. So what we've been talking about is what's the direction that I'm going? What's the purpose that I'm following? How does it all come together? And I tend to, sometimes I will get this card for myself, because baked in to my chart, not through my Chiron, but through my lunar nodes, is sometimes just like not being so serious, not so intense about things. And a way that we can find the way forward is to light it up with joy, with laughter, with love, with connection, with even nostalgia in some cases, depending on the person, like circling back to your childhood, just things that spark some sense of joy. So wherever Chiron maybe happens to be or not in your chart, some of the suggested medicine here is following and finding that sense of play and joy. How can you infuse joy in your life every day? And when you have that, when you can fill up your tank, when you can light the lantern to guide you down the dark hallways, then that's how you can find that step, how you can get to the door, how you can take the key out of your pocket, open it up, and then get to the other side for your next chapter. Both 1 and 2 readings were resonating, wanting a rebirth to happen for sure. So many puzzle pieces. Chiron, I would look more into it. Thanks for that. Yeah. Play is my best companion, but forgotten it a bit in all this existential question. So have you been asking yourself existential questions? Like, did that part resonate as well? Thanks for the reminder. Of course. And for anyone interested in learning more about your natal Chiron, I actually do have that in one of my readings. So my level 2 reading, astrology reading that I have on my websites, I talk about your Chiron. Maggie, are you the same Maggie where we talked offline? Like we talked in the chat? Is this like the neighbor? Yes. Okay. All right. I forget if I have that one recorded or not. So I think I don't. I think I was like I think I started recording these right after that. So for anybody who wasn't there in that class, we did a previous reading talking about the situationship who lived next door. If memory serves, was he the one who looked in the mirror like he was thinking about himself and it was like a relationship of convenience? Yeah. So that's the context for it. However many weeks ago that was. Okay. Feels different now. Interesting. All right. So also interesting and reminder that for this reading, I had 2 cards for it. So we'll see how this translates. You know what this feels like to me? This feels like these are, this is a card spread. Like this is a decision-making spread. Continuing to just like to run out the road is how it's coming through. Like running out, going all the way to wherever this journey takes you to the end, wherever the end of the line is. That's option number 1. And option number 2. I'm seeing it's like a trap door. Like it's just like like they would have this in like game shows like forever ago where like it's like someone kind of getting dropped into like a dunk tank or something where you're like, all right, bye. So it feels like that's kind of like a conclusion, like just letting this guy just like drop out and disappear. So those are the 2 options. So following the road, seeing where it takes you. And the second one is trapdoor, dunk tank. Okay, so looking into the first one, if you continue down, oh, okay, no, I'm supposed to look into the dunk tank first. All right, so for the dunk tank trapdoor, it feels very fiery. I don't know how indicative this is of his personality, but it's almost like I'm seeing the dunk tank, but then there's fire on the top of the water, like what you would have if there's like oil and then the oil's on fire. So it feels really like kind of hazardous, like there's something that is like a little toxic feeling about it. It feels to me like it could be a combination of his response or like the void that's there, like how you respond to it. So without having I'll frame it like this, I guess, like the object of your affection. So it's the thing that is bringing you passion, is bringing you a fire. It's this flame that you are chasing, that you are coaxing to get bigger, to become a bonfire, to keep you warm at night, if you will. And in the absence of that, it's like, then the fire has to go somewhere. This is not to say, oh, that means automatically you should continue forward with him. It just means being mindful of in the ending process, there is a risk factor here of it not ending cleanly based on how you react, based on how he reacts. So there's toxicity in the sense of like maybe having trouble letting go of it. And so it's festering and it feels so scary. Well, I don't want to drop into this tank of water that has fire on the top. But it's like, but you're not actually going to get burned because you are going into water and then you can swim away. So it feels like there is a hurdle in this route. It doesn't mean it's not the route to take. It just means that there are more patterns being revealed through this route. And the card is the sensuality card. It is safe and beautiful to express my sensuality. So this can translate in a couple ways. One, sensuality in the sense of engaging with your senses. So we're talking about fire, we're talking about water, we're talking about what are your emotions, your fears, like being able to connect. But the emphasis here to me is the word safe that is on here. Because what we were talking about is it feels risky and it feels scary and it feels dangerous to go the route of the trapdoor and going into our fiery tank of water. But this is the assurance that it is actually safe doing it and leaning into your self-expression, your knowing, your trust, and just the recognition of what you have to offer. So knowing your value. It's safe and beautiful to express my sensuality. And option number 1, which was continuing down the road with this guy. I'm seeing the two of you, it's like you're driving in a car together. So he's driving. Take that as you will. He's driving the car. You're in the passenger seat. And it's like you're driving down the road together. It's like you start and you stop, and you start and you stop. And it's like what you see in the movies when someone's trying to do like the manual, why can't I think of the word? Transition? Is it just transition? No. Someone tell me what the correct word is, because you know what I'm saying. So they're doing the automatic, and it's like when somebody doesn't do it properly, and so automatic shift, yeah. So the car is kind of bouncing a little bit like that. It's like a classic trope that you see. Also happens a lot on The Amazing Race too, when people go to the other countries and then they're used to the automatic. So when you're in manual, it's like there's this kind of jostling of the car. So it's kind of moving forward, but then it's stalling and then it's moving around in place rather than continuing. So it's not necessarily the smoothest ride, is how this avenue feels. Like you're going down the street, but it's bumpy as contained to the car. Not that the road is bumpy and you're hitting potholes. It's about how the vehicle is being operated. And one thing I will reiterate is, in this visual, he is driving the car rather than you driving the car. You are the passenger, so you are in the passive role. Maybe you are guiding him, maybe you are reading the directions. So it doesn't mean you're 100% passive and you're just sitting there, but he is operating the vehicle. So he is in the seat of power, and it feels a little jolty, bouncing, and irregular in its pursuit in moving forward. Trying to get a gauge on his reaction and his temperament here. Like, does he feel rattled by it? Does he actually, in the seat of power, feel that he's in the seat of power and in charge and in control of the situation? Is it going to his head? Slightly? I don't know. It seems like he's exacerbating with the whole thing. It's like he wants it to work, but then it's not listening to him. Like the vehicle is not listening to him. It's not necessarily going the way that he wants it to go at that point. And the blowback isn't quite coming at you. It's not like he's mad at you. He's mad at the car. He's mad at the thing. He's mad at the idea of like whatever the relationship is, whatever the parameters are that the two of you hopefully agree upon. It's about the circumstances. And so it's like he's so frustrated and he just puts it into park, gets out of the car, slams the door, and he's like, it's like he's like kicking the car and he's pacing and he's circling the car, and like you're just kind of sitting there in the passenger seat, like, yikes. So it just feels like there's a lot of stuff again on his side, however active or not active you are. Like he agreed to get in the car with you, but then he's mad at the car. He's mad at not even the journey, because it's not about where you're going, but it's about how the things are going, or expectations, or things of that nature. And the card is the desires card. Again, a very interesting pairing to have these two together. I craft my core desires with certainty and ease. This guy does not seem at ease. But you were sitting very, very calmly in that passenger seat. I mean, you're like not pleased with his reaction when he gets out and he's all like angry and everything, but you know where you're going. You know what you want. So when you align with that, it's really just a matter of like, is he on the same page as you? Because he's a whole separate being with his own desires. And if the two of you have your same desires, then the car's moving smoothly. It's going forward. Like it's pointed in the way that the both of you have agreed that you want to go. But there's something about the day-to-day, the functions, the communication, the structure, the expectations is the thing that keeps coming up, that he is not super jiving with. And it doesn't mean it's specifically something that you said, but it could be in the context. It could be his perceptions of what a relationship should be or not be. It feels like it's like what's going on in his brain. And the reason I say that this is a very interesting pairing is because, one, this is a desire card, but when we're coupling it with this sensuality card, like it's almost like it takes on a slightly different meaning, because we're tucking into what are your desires as relates to relationships. And we have our reminder here about safety. So you were calm, you were centered. So you're actually in the seat of power in both of these options, even if it doesn't look like it. Because you can always choose in the car situation, you want to get out of the car and just walk there. Or tell him, let's just walk there. Car's not working, let's just walk. So there are other options on that road, whether you're going forward with him or not going forward with him. But the importance is you being centered in it, in knowing the things that you want and calling that in and making that happen. And then trusting in the safety and to move forward in a healthy manner. There was a lot of stuff in there. You've had some candid chats. He's never dated anyone. I think he's terrified. Makes sense to me. But I'm also not going to wait and compromise my boundaries. This was helpful. I am very, very glad, Maggie. Thank you for coming back. I'm glad we had a part 2. This was fun. First time here. So glad you've joined. What we're looking at for Tolkyn is staying in the university. So under the conditions of staying in the university, what are things to know moving forward? We'll keep it broad, just see what comes through. I'm getting something immediately about like referrals, or the referrals mattering. So even like not even just you getting a referral, but you having a reference for the specific college that you're going into in the different group. So you're not going in blind, because it may look good on the outside, but maybe it would be really great to have somebody on the inside who can give you the tea on how things are operating and functioning, because you really want to go into a well-oiled machine. You want to have the work-life balance. You want to have new relationships, friendships, enjoy yourself at work. So getting references from people, speaking to people in the different places that you are applying. So trying to find some people to connect with them. So you're not just taking the job just to take the job, but really making sure that you can vet from your interview process, but that you can pick the brains of, one or two people that already work there and have some firsthand knowledge of the operations and what it's really like. And trusting that they'll actually be honest with you. So you want to think about the people that you're talking to. If you're just asking people on the team and they're looking to fill the spot, they may not be 100% honest with you. So getting some people that are just outside of the hiring team. So they're at the school, they're maybe in the department or in a adjoining collaborative department, but they're not like the hiring team, who may try to sway you in a certain way. So it feels like getting that extra objective feeling information seems very important in making that best fit decision for you. And it feels like there's a lot of applications and paperwork. Like I'm just seeing you like filling this thing out. Like, I don't know if it's just a red tape thing, but there's a lot, like it's maybe a longer process than you are hoping for, or even some of the weights on it. Like you're hoping to hear back, and it's not that they don't want to get back to you, but I just am seeing a lot of going through papers, having to wait and write and all of that jazz. Wow, how interesting. Okay, I was just talking about this card. The intimacy card, which is the one that I mentioned for Maggie's reading. Love and intimacy flow into my life effortlessly. There's standards of conduct for how you operate in the workplace. So we're not going down that road, but it's about this idea, almost like the first card, we're talking about manifestation. It's you are calling it in. So this is about the flow of positive, supportive, compassionate energy towards you. So that's how this card would apply to your situation. So intimacy in the sense of they actually care about you. They want to understand you. They want to know you. They want to support you. Collecting the information, you're thinking about it, you're weighing, comparing, contrasting with your values, and you are setting the intention that what comes to you is actually supportive, and it's people and a group that care about you, want you to grow as an individual. So yes, on the learning side, but it's just like they want you to do well. It feels like it's broader. It's not just like, oh, they want you to improve your skill set, your technical skills or your soft skills. It's no, like they want you to do good work and to enjoy doing it. And that is the vibe here. So when you're doing this vetting process, so when you're getting your references, that feels like the thing to have in the back of your head. Am I getting the impression, trusting my intuition, am I getting the impression that these people in this department, what this role, this job description entails, is going to be something that brings in support for me to be my authentic self, for me to grow, to feel comfortable, to feel nurtured? And if not, then these are all the warning signs of not being a good fit, potentially burning out, as in the situation, or you in the role burning out and not lasting, because you want it to feel effortless. It's the flow of energy, it's the exchange. You are attracting it to you. And just as like the final thought, I'm also getting like around you were talking about, oh well, like I have to stay there at least 3 years. Like so um whatever the circumstances are with that, I'm guessing like if you're getting a degree. So I don't know if it's helping, if it's through the school or it's just helping with the bills and paying for that. Whatever it is. There's just a little note here in thinking about the pressure that you put on yourself. And something else about like with the timelines too. So through the whole process, through all of the work that you're putting in and the growth that you want, it's not forgetting that what's most important is, are we bringing in joy, support? Are we feeling centered in our values versus just doing the thing to do the thing? The energy here is leaning more into like a Venus ruled sign versus Saturn. It's like how can we connect? How can we enjoy the process versus focusing on the grind and the time and the things I have to lose and the things I have to overcome. That's the dichotomy here. Reminded me to choose something I should enjoy. 100%. That's like the main theme here. It's not operating out of necessity. It's operating out of, will this actually bring me joy? Will this actually support me, nurture me, make me feel comfortable, make me feel valued? Being a little picky which position I'm applying. Yes, and the part about the references as well. Not just going for the first thing that comes up, but like make sure that when you are asking questions in the interviews, when you ask around to people who know of that department, who know of that team, is it a supportive environment? Like getting the truth about it. Because you want to be able to just like slide into that new role with the effortless ease, comfort, and feeling like, all right, like this is my vibe. Like we're on the same wavelength. I'm so glad that you showed up to class today as your first time. I hope to see you at future classes.